Hello, this is Teresa, and I'll be sharing how I made these two different cards with pop-up elements on the inside. I think they're a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoy watching how they were created. So I'm starting with three different colors of the Starstruck foiled from the Peacock Foiled Variety Paper Pack. Wow, that's a mouthful, right? I'm putting half circles all together, and the largest half circle die, by the way, is about 4 1/4 across, and each step below that is about half an inch difference, I think, roughly. So after gluing all the three colors on top of each other, I'm folding this in half, and then I'll fold it in half one more time so that I end up with a fan shape like what you see here. And I expected this to be the pop-up element that I used, but I went on trying a different way about it using the Rinea's rolled star dies, and I actually found that these turned out to be my favorite in the long run. So I'm going to create two different, basically they're fan shapes if you think about it. So after cutting out the color in each size, I'm just cutting these in half so I can create two different fan-shaped elements. And what I end up doing is putting them all together, stacked on top of each other. I folded them so that they would still be in more or less a fan fold shape, and unfolded them, glued the bottom part of them together, flipped that over, and I'm creating a couple of tabs that I can use to adhere this to the inside of the card. So there are the two little rectangle pieces. I've put adhesive all on one side of it with double-sided adhesive tape, and then I'll attach this to my fan shape. So now I'm in the process. I'm just using a paper towel so that it captures any adhesive that's coming off the edge there, because I wanted to make sure to cover the entire piece of foil with the double-sided tape. And I press half of it on each side, and I'm trying to avoid it coming into contact with my mat. So I go ahead and put tape on the other little rectangle there. I'm going to put half of it onto the shape as shown, and then I pick it up and I fold back those two little tabs so that I can adhere it to the inside of the card to create a pop-up element. And I went extra slow with this step so that you could see the whole process and it would be easy to understand and duplicate. So now I have a card base, and I'm just laying down my fan shape on the inside of the card. I'm about a third of the way down on the inside of the card and lined up the center with the center fold. And then I pull over each of the tabs and press them down onto the card base so that this piece will be secure. I'm going to fold the entire thing back on itself. And now you can see the front side of it. It's not completely glued together, and that's part of the fun of the whole thing. I ended up deciding I like this better than the first approach I took, which was just gluing them all down together on top of each other. And I'll create an exact same replica of this and put it on the bottom. I'm not going to show that to you right now, but you will see it later in the video. And while I was trying to train this by folding it and making sure that it would open and pop up correctly, I found some sticky spots. So I'm taking a little powder bag, anti-static powder bag, and tapping it all over to remove some of that stick. And I just dabbed off some of that extra powder. And I'm going to close it again and make sure that it's not sticking when I open, and it still was sticking a little bit, so I decided to put a little more adhesive on the bottom portion to make that stop doing this. And I'm going to work on the front of the card now. I used some of the glossy sapphire foil. I've already embossed it with the embossing folder you see to the left-hand side. And I'm going to emboss a couple of circles in the other two colors in the same embossing folder. And lucky for me, they happen to just both fit inside, so I didn't have to run them through twice. And after embossing those, I'm going to use those layered circles on the front. I realized they weren't going to pop so much without some contrast, so I die cut some circles in the card base color or cardstock, and I'm going to layer on these two circles, and then I'm going to take both of those matted circles and I'm going to attach them to the card base. And later I'll add a die cut element or die cut word on the front of the card, which you'll see a little bit later in the video. So there's the front side of the card. Now going on to the inside, and as you can see now I have the second fan added to the bottom. And I'm adding some stamping to the inside. I have this cute stamp set from Picket Fence Studios that has a lot of very large words, and it was just perfect for this to fill in some of that space in the center but still leave some room for a personal message. So I've already stamped the Yippee, and the other one I'm going to be stamping on there from that set is Way to Go, and I'm stamping that in some purple ink, trying to make as close a match as I can to the foil colors. And I had to stamp twice just to make sure that it got good coverage, especially when we're talking about the fold inside the middle of the card base. And so now I'm going to show you how the card looks on the inside and outside. Now I'm moving on to the other card that I made using a pastel color theme. And again, I cut two colors, one in the pastel lavender color and the jade color, and I'm folding them in a fan shape in general, and I'm taking my scissors and I'm cutting this into a general petal shape. This particular one I'm cutting right now is going to be the leaf layer, which is the largest of the three dies that you see on the right hand side. And so now you can see that beautiful jade color foil. And then I'm going to do a similar thing to those two other circles. I'm going to layer them on top of each other. The main difference as far as the cutting is I just used my scissors and went kind of in a wavy pattern. And I'm offsetting every layer there so that it is filled up. And the next thing I'm going to do is add a score line down the middle of this, because I'm going to be placing it on the inside of my card base, and I need to make sure that it folds over when the card is closed. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and do this. Now after I've done this, I'm adding some double-sided adhesive. I'm concentrating putting that right in the middle because I don't want it to be glued down completely flat. So now I'm placing it in the card, as you can see, adding a little more adhesive on the opposite side, pressing the card base down, and then I can pop up those petals. Not that they're necessarily going to stay like that after being folded for a while, but if someone wants to display this card while it's open, they can certainly fluff up those little petals and leaves because they're not attached to the end. Now on the front of the card, I did a full embossing folder panel in the lavender color. I am following that up by matching up the jade color. I wanted to make this match in the same pattern, even though I'm putting that right on top of the other piece. So I'm adding some liquid glue to the back of this panel because I wanted to be sure that I would be able to move it around a little bit to make sure that it aligns exactly with the pattern and makes a continuous pattern even though the color is changing. So maybe you can see that now that it's glued down. I do add some additional embellishment to the front. I've already done a word die cut, and I cut that out of black and then white paper to offset so that it was easily visible. And with the addition of some die cut flowers on the front of it, I have a fully decorated outside of the card. Now I'm going to be adding the stamping on the inside, and again I chose an ink that looked like it would match pretty well with the lavender colored foiled paper. And I stamped it twice just to make sure I had a good impression. And now I have a cute pop-up card and gorgeous on the inside as well as the outside. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll leave me a thumbs up if you like this video, and here's some other suggestions for other videos to watch. Until next time.